Kind of feels like forever since we've all been together.
Okay, you're all set.
Thanks, Carol.
Mhm.
Well, welcome. It's May 11th. It's 11:04. We're going to begin our meeting. And with that, I'll take a roll call. Lucy Duhamel.
Here.
Shirley Hardison.
I'm here.
Michelle Stecker.
Here.
Jeff Kenyon.
Here.
And Sue Russo.
Here.
As I just said, it's
And you are Nancy Osborne?
and I am Nancy Osborne, and I am here.
Thank you.
As I said, it's been a long time. I feel like since we've been together, lots have happened, but I'd like to give a really warm welcome to Sue Russo. It's her first board meeting, board of directors meeting. And she's been our director since early March. I know we've all been in to say hello and meet with her and see what a great job she's been doing. Have you all received the minutes from the February 23rd meeting and had a chance to read them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any corrections or additions? No.
No. No.
I'll give it a minute. Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion
Can I have a
to
second?
accept.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, Lucy Duhamel?
Yes.
Shirley, yes. Michelle,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Nancy, yes. Okay, great. So that brings us to the reports. First up is the treasurer's report. I just want to thank you all for getting us these reports before the meeting. I think it makes it easier on everybody to review and ask questions. And also it makes it easier for the secretary to just incorporate them into her minutes. So Michelle, you have the floor.
Okay, hopefully you all got my report.
Yeah.
So the CD we have is set to automatically renew for 6 months, and the renewal comes up May 19th. The rate's going to drop to 0.20% from 0.25%. We could get 0.55% if we want to go 4 years, but I don't think we want to do that. So that's what's happening with the CD. The balance in the CD is $20,823.79. The checking account, the unrestricted amount is $39,666.97. And the Almy bequest amount, which is restricted, is $2,801.29. Sarah has been great about making sure that gets spent, and she made a book plate to go in the books that she orders and buys for the library that notes the books are due to the Almy Trust, Almy bequest.
Oh, nice.
And what was that bequest total? Was it 5?
5,000, yeah.
5,000.
Mhm.
So the CDs are presently 2-year CDs?
1 year CD is 6 months. There's 6 months, it rolls over every 6 months.
Oh. Okay. So getting 0.55% is pretty negligible, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Tying it up for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, letting luck, they'll go up a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it. I'll try to remember to talk about it in a few months, that we maybe put another $20,000 into a CD, but the rate's so negligible. I don't really know if we want to do that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the treasurer's report or any comments?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much, Michelle. How about Jeff sent us a long range plan a few minutes ago. Jeff, you want to tell us something about the work that's gone into preparing this and who you spoke with?
All right. I met with actually 2 people, 3 counting an email. One, I talked to Marjorie O'Toole at the Little Compton Historical Society, and she had a lot of good information regarding the digital process with library or any materials. And I basically passed a contact person to Sue and spoke with Sue, and Sue will contact her and also try to meet with Marjorie in the immediate future. The bottom line is the Historical Society, as you know, has really done a terrific job cataloging, storing, digitalizing, and so on, with loads of material about our town. And they're ongoing, of course, with exhibitions and presentations of work. So I think they'd be a great contact network for the library and for all of us, for the new director included. I'll summarize. To digitize a page can cost up to $10 a page, and it's pretty expensive.
Jeff, can I interrupt 1 second? I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. Where does digitizing, under what goal are we talking about? Our library I mean, I was hoping maybe you'd start with telling us who you, I feel like you're laser focused on that. And I was trying to get a little broader input, like you
Okay,
talked.
but I'll summarize it. Basically, it's expensive, and we need to look at other options, and particularly unique materials that the library has, scrapbooks and the poetry night collections and stuff like that we want to do. But Sue will pursue that with Marjorie, I think. Anyway, to summarize, starting with goal 1, space and improvement.
I think Lucy might have a question.
Well, you know what? I'll let it go. I just didn't know what Jeff was talking about in the last point when he was saying it's expensive, and I don't know if we want to do it.
I don't see anything on here about digitizing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on the second page, towards the bottom under local history.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, local history.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. You're summarizing.
That seemed to be a bigger point in the older plan. But anyway, because it's expensive, I think that's something that Sue will explore, and we can get back to that later. It's not a big priority for the library. So basically, I started with space and improvement, following the old 5-year plan. We had an immediate question. Why is the need to label it a 5-year plan? Did anyone have a point? Carol, is this a town requirement?
It's a library
It's
requirement.
actually, it's OLIS's requirement that we have to have a 5-year plan, but it doesn't limit us to doing it more often. It's just, it's part of what we have to do to be certified.
Oh, okay. That's what I wasn't quite clear. But I think
Yeah, I've talked to some library directors that are going to 3-year plans because things are changing so often that their boards are feeling that they need to review things every 3 years. But
yeah, I think we mentioned that we did want to review things more frequently rather than just that 5-year label. And in fact, it should probably be a yearly ongoing situation. But if we do have to have a in quotes plan, I think 3-year would be better given the change, particularly as we've noticed in the last year with the COVID problems. Everything's pretty much topsy-turvy. And I think we mentioned that. So I'm not going to use 5-year plan. I think we need to decide 3 or 5 year.
Well, I think I just heard Sue say that the requirement right now is a 5-year plan, if I'm misunderstood.
I think so. I have to double check that. There is a long range plan requirement. I'm not sure what the duration of it is.
So if in fact that's correct, we can just keep it as a 5-year plan, but that does not negate the fact that we can review it as often as we would like. And 5 years a ballpark in business, but they don't leave it to 5 years to evaluate or reevaluate.
Yeah, I think I see this committee, this job, Jeff, as being really ongoing and
Correct.
And kicking stuff off and checking in on it, every couple months, and not just revisiting it every 5 years. So let's go forward. So who did you talk to in preparing these? Did you talk to staff?
I received input from Sarah Braswell regarding use activities. I met with Sue, I met with Marjorie O'Toole, and I generally spoke to the staff as to what some of their plans were. For example, Hillary in continuing a web page, Sarah with the newsletter, which I thank them for their excellent work, by the way. I think the web page is timely, excellent, and constantly updated for a lot of different populations. The newsletter, I like to see the newsletter come out a little more frequently. I think that's nice. People like to hold things in their hand, particularly at the library. Not everyone has access to the internet and so on. So, but I also think, and it's mentioned in here, time for professional staff development or training days. I think that's something that we all need to get involved with in some way. Sue, of course, would have immediate hands-on with that, but I think sometimes the trustees need to sit, or at least a representative sit in as part of our ongoing change of the plan with some of the staff development. But that's, I think, set for the future.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for a second. It's easier for me to follow if we just go through one through whatever and highlight or summarize anything that needs to be, because the jumping around, I can't.
Okay, I was just generalizing, Lucy, but so let's look at goal one. Any particular questions on goal one?
Yeah, I do. So we did hire a interior design consultant and or quasi architect, and we paid her, I can't remember how much we paid her, $1,500 or I don't know, something. And yeah, and we have a plan. She provided a layout for her suggestions. It kind of got stalled 2 years ago and never went anywhere, but that has been addressed, has never followed up with her. And I'm not sure if we follow up, if we have her try to explain it, because the plan that she proposed doesn't really show where the books are or how many books are going to be kept where. And I think any kind of follow-up, she's going to charge extra, but I don't really know that. So I'm not sure we should hire a new design architect or consultant. Maybe we should follow up with the one that we went with, or if we do hire a new one, then that's just money down the drain. So I don't know, Jeff, you got a chance to look at the plan she proposed?
No, I didn't. I didn't know those were available.
Yes.
Yeah, I have the plan. The idea of having a library consultant come in is that I don't know who the designer was of the original plan, but it involved weeding something approaching 70% of the collection in order to fit in the way that she had designed the building. So the general mood in the building is that this is not an ideal library situation. So, I mean, I certainly can send out the copies of the report that she did, and I have fabric swatches and I have things like that. But basically, the solution was to have bookshelves around the outside of every room in the building and use the centers of the rooms for tables and chairs. And so we would have had to get rid of a lot of the books that we have in order to fit them only around the edges of the rooms.
I think the overall idea behind the plan was to make it more friendly. People can come in, sit in chairs, around tables, and rather than have and really take advantage, especially the architecture in the big room where all those stacks are. And so I think going forward, it's a good idea. We don't really need to, we're going to need to keep more books, but making some kind of comfortable area to sit, I think would be a good idea. And I also have no idea, but if there could be a room that could be closed off, it could be all glass, but closed, where people could have, meetings, a book club meeting, or, teens could go and read and talk about books or something.
Well, that's why when Jeff and I had talked, I suggested getting a library consultant in, because then the idea being that they would speak to the trustees, they would speak to the staff, maybe we could find some patrons and kind of have what we are hoping to get out of the building and
Right.
then try to design around it rather than trying to fit the design that was given. And like I said, I don't know anything about the process that happened before, but it's a lovely organization of the building, but it's just not very organized around what we do in a day. And so, you know, library folks.
You have to keep it functioning as a library, not a reading.
Right. And we do have tables around. So we have one in the reading room in the back with the genealogy materials. We have two in the room with all the stacks. And we have two in the front room where the mysteries are. So there are some places for people to sit. Upgrading chairs is always something libraries want to do because you buy really sturdy chairs that last forever and they're hideously uncomfortable. But we have chairs in the stacks in the stack room. There are chairs all over the building. So once we post-COVID are able to invite people in, and I think this is going to be pretty soon, to sit, but it's just a matter of maybe getting the building reevaluated by someone for whom libraries is their primary work.
Well, so I think that, I'll hold that thought. We'd have to get bids and allocate certain budget and all that, Raz.
That's down the road.
Yeah, this is just to put it on the radar as a plan for the next 5 years or 3 years.
Yeah. So if I could make a suggestion, Sue, since you're there, you have the experience and the history. If you could take a look at this and you and Jeff come up with some ideas, and then then maybe we look at a consultant. But I certainly, I go in there a lot, but I'm not looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah, I think my suggestion of a library consultant was kind of like a kitchen consultant. When you're going to redo your kitchen, you hire someone to come in because they know all the options, and that way you don't have to research all the options.
Okay.
And they can kind of look at it with a fresh eye. And so my suggestion about a library consultant was simply that. They've done this a lot. They know all the configurations, all the things that are out there to help save space and put books and all this stuff. And so, it saves a little bit of time on the staff's part. But there are multiple steps to renovating a building, including going around and looking at other libraries and stuff. So,
well, what would you suggest? Finding a library consultant and asking them the cost, and then we could.
Well, I can certainly look into that. I know there's someone who has redone Cranston, various areas of the Cranston Public Library, and I think the Warwick Public Library. And at one point I knew what their names were, but I can go and talk to them and get an idea. But there's multiple parts to it that include, finding out what we want to do in the building too. And that has to be done, I think, before the library consultant comes in.
Okay.
Okay, so am I hearing that Sue will investigate or start to keep a list of library, investigate who's used what library consultant, who they might recommend, and what the cost might be? Is that what I'm hearing, Lucy, you suggesting?
Yes, but I just heard Sue say that things be done in the building prior to that. So
yeah, but it's something that can be done kind of as a group. I think I know what they need as information before they start, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to find out what they what they actually need. But
yeah.
It might be helpful to involve the friends too.
Yes.
To have some ideas.
Okay, and that I think that's getting the ball rolling. We don't have to engage a consultant right away, but
no, they should have a boilerplate. Here's what we need to get started. Sort of letter they could send out.
I think we really need to look through this 5-year plan and compare it to the prior one, see what's been done, what's on this list.
Have you done that, Jeff? Have you looked at the prior plan?
Pardon me? Say that again?
Did you look at the prior plan?
Yes, I did. I basically used that as a template to put this together.
Okay.
Okay, so let's try and go through this. It's I know we all just received it, but Jeff, I see your parking. You say there's not much to be done.
The parking came up about 5 or 6 years ago with the town, and people didn't want the nose-in parking. They wanted parallel parking, for example, and that was a no because it would drastically cut back spaces for Wilbur's, the library, the church, and other places. So in our particular area, with the commons and so on, I think we have to do with what we have.
Okay.
I don't see any changes. Going down the list, new items which I talked. The repair of the stone wall seems to be ongoing, and
It's been repaired. It's been repaired. Sarah and I, that's why
Okay,
I was
good.
late joining the meeting. Sarah and I went out. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, okay, but that seems to be an ongoing issue. And I have a couple of other areas that we need to really meet with the Brownell Trust to see what can be done, buildings and grounds maintenance, for example, and other things. But do we need to put a post in the corner of that wall? People swing their cars when they back out. Maybe in regards to the new signage that we've talked about, something needs to be put up as a warning, particularly for the drivers who may have issues since they are using the handicap zone, stuff like that. My only addition here, which I wanted to throw out to the group, is could we talk to the trust and think about putting in an electric car charging point in that pull-in driveway?
Wow.
Mine would be a no, but
I think it's
Well,
a good idea.
I'm open.
Well, I think maybe we could talk about that a little bit. Maybe that's something the town should do. I do think the town should do that. And we could bring it up with the council. Because if we do have a charging place, anyone who's got a car that needs to be charged is going to use it, not just people visiting the library. So I think that'd be more of a town issue.
I don't think that's a library issue.
Well,
I love the idea. My only concern is if you put it in handicap parking spot, then if someone's charging their car, there is no more handicap parking. And if they're not handicapped, then it's a hard dual use because they're going to be sitting there for half an hour to charge their car, right?
Yeah, I think it's a town issue.
Yeah, I agree, Michelle. And Westport has it behind the municipal building or something, but I think it's a town issue, not a library one.
Yeah.
all right, good. I wanted to put that in just to raise this specific discussion because I think it is a town issue. And I think, people do spend time at the library. They might spend an hour or more. And once it's pre-COVID or use of the pavilion. And I think the town now has to be alert to the fact technologies are changing and they're not. Their response to COVID, if you want to call it a response, was an example of this. So I think we need to push this and perhaps bring it to the town council. So thanks for that point.
Okay, computers need upgrading. Is that the case, Sue? Have we got new computers?
So I still have to evaluate that. There is money coming into the state from the American Rescue Plan, and technology is a big piece of that. And I'm getting information kind of weekly from Karen Meller. The one thing the end of that sentence, it says change to cubicles, and I don't know. One of the conversations we've been having staff-wise is how do people use compute technology in the library? Do they need computers or do they bring their own laptops? And so, if they use our computers, we'd need to make sure we had enough and up to date. Some of them are old in the building. But if they're going to bring their own computers, do we want to have a lot of computer stations that they have to shove out of the way to use? So this is kind of an ongoing decision, but locking us down into computer desks with computers in them may not be the way we end up going. So, definitely upgrading computers, keeping technology current is definitely something for the long range plan. I'm not sure that we need to install computer cubicles around the building, but
can we change that language then, Jeff, to taking out change to cubicles to think about computer Oh, Shirley, did you have something you want to say?
Not about that. I have a general question, but finish that and then I'll ask you my general question.
About computer configuration or
Stations?
No.
Evaluate computer use in the building or,
Okay.
Computer stations for,
No, I think she's
No.
saying not computer stations, just
okay,
more
I
general.
mean, we're still talking about it because I haven't been here for a summer, so I haven't seen it, but.
Right.
But, I think that all fits in with getting a library consultant, because, I have to come and sit in a chair, put the computer in my lap or a little table in front of me and use it there, but make it, whatever we use is make it very flexible so it can be moved around and.
That's what my idea. We have 5 tables, but they're very heavy and solid and.
So why don't we just say evaluate current computers?
Or just reading areas. I don't even know if we need to limit to computers.
We don't, from what I hear Sue say, we don't want to do specific stations.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure, but we could do,
If we leave it open to evaluate current computers, that's
and their use.
anything.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Let's skip down to, we're thinking, it's been brought up a couple of times about library growth, and that seems to be physical growth. And I think just common sense tells me the way the pavilion was built in the back, it sort of limited outward expansion in the back of the facility. Only because the pavilion was put in with steel girders. So it's pretty much hurricane proof, but it really can't be moved easily. So I looked at some other libraries. The Providence Public Library, as an example, had a pretty nice bookmobile. I don't know if it's still in one piece or not, but I know we still do home deliveries, both to homeschooled and invalids and people with disabilities, particularly during the pandemic. So I thought, would it be possible to create some type of a bookmobile? Sue, any thoughts on that, or?
Well, it's going to be an expense. It's going to be staffing as well as equipment, and insurance and stuff, unless it depends on what you're thinking. Are you thinking an actual bookmobile, like a van, or are you thinking the back of somebody's car?
I'm thinking
Which
of
is what we've been
upgrade.
doing.
Yeah, I think back of someone's car is good, but then you still actually technically have insurance problems. Someone's working and using their own vehicle, and who knows what will happen, but while they're on the road. But yeah, I was thinking more of an actual van type or small SUV type setup to carry books, and making that part of a job description of someone at the library.
Yeah, I would have to look at the impact we're hoping for or looking for in terms of use. Right now it's, honestly, you did a fantastic job, all your charts. I haven't really studied them, but they're great. But, looking for use of the library doesn't always have to be people coming in, but the bookmobile could really expand as an outreach to the community and, get more use that way. I mean, it sounds like overall a generally good concept.
Well,
The other thing which I didn't add, I just happened to think of, and I've done a survey around the town here in Tiverton, is the sidewalk little free libraries. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
that movement, but they're in Tiverton, Little Compton, and so on.
Yeah, there's
Sure.
several places here.
So I don't know if the library could sponsor some of those, and let's take an example. The Art Cafe has a lot of patrons all the year round, and maybe that could be a spot for a little free library. And we certainly get enough book donations where there'd be books that we wouldn't have to worry about their coming and going, that type of thing. But it would definitely.
I think it have to be monitored occasionally by library staff. So
Oh
that
yeah.
it doesn't get stale.
Yeah, little free libraries are kind of a different lending model,
Yeah.
because the idea is it's kind of a take one, give one kind of thing, rather than, what we're doing. We might be able to work with various places for excess donations or something. we are selling them through the friends, and they're not doing a big book sale, but we do have books out all the time to sell. And I know since I've been here, I got a new donation box, and we've probably taken in $40 or so, $50 maybe. I haven't counted it. So it is kind of a revenue source too, but there are also things, library kiosks, where you'd need and I haven't looked into them at all, but they need power, but you could pick up your Holtz, so we could, you could have kind of an assortment of books, so we could, you know, technically set up something like at the beach, and people with their library cards could check out a book at the beach, although library books and beaches involve a lot of sand at the end. But you know, there are ways to do it within the library's lending model rather than a little free library. But I could look into library kiosks and see.
I love all the creativity and ideas, and I think they're really valuable, Jeff. But and I think that the idea is that the staff, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we work off the old 5-year plan. The staff really has to drive this 5-year plan. Surely.
Well, that was my question. Has Sue, have you had a chance to really look at this plan yet? Did you get it before we did?
No, I got it this
Okay.
morning. I
Oh.
read through it a
All right.
couple of times.
Okay, so that's my suggestion is that it's seeming to me like if our intention is to go through each of these categories and have this kind of discussion, that's going to result in much more time than I actually allocated to be in this meeting. But it seems to me that there would be a valuable use of our time for Sue to have more time to review this and develop some input and maybe identify some things that, as she's already done, things that either have happened or things that aren't practicable to happen. But I feel like Sue needs, or we need to give Sue a little more time with this so she can look at it, and then we could get back together. And as you said, Nancy, go through it in a more general way after Sue's had a chance to give some input into it. She has some, she has lots of experience and great ideas that could really impact some of this.
Well,
Yeah, I guess I'm just not, go ahead, Michelle.
My understanding is just a deadline to get this in, and I think it's June. So my thought would be to basically not go through it all now, maybe submit this as a 3-year, 5-year plan, and then in the next few months we'll tweak it and make it much more in-depth and specific, and that could be an amendment or addendum to it. But this has to get submitted. I think.
Well, it does. And I said at the beginning that we need another meeting, but it's not June, it's July. So I would really prefer to schedule another meeting, have this in a second go at this, after what Shirley suggested, Sue, give us her input. And, this isn't such a great discussion, having just received this in an
Right.
email. It's lengthy. It's got some great ideas.
I have a ton of comments on it, and I don't want to take up everyone's time with it all, but I have a lot of comments.
I would think probably, I agree with you, Nancy. And I think probably all of us have comments because we've just received it. I haven't even had a chance to go through it. What do you guys think about, obviously Sue reviewing it, and then we can either throw our comments to Sue, or just to reduce this and simplify it. And as Nancy, there are a lot of great ideas, but there's some ideas here that I think aren't applicable directly to the library, like the free library things. I think, I don't know if that's a library, but I thought it was like a public thing, but I could be mistaken, but that's what I would suggest.
Well, I do want to say, Jeff, I think this is a good start, and I really appreciate the work you've done. It certainly has given us a lot of things to comment about and think about and expand, which I think is probably the purpose of this draft. So I do appreciate that. And I think maybe we can come, it's like you said, send Sue some of our comments, not be overwhelming, and with the understanding it has to be submitted in July. We can meet in June, but also this isn't it's not going to be submitted and then, kind of put to bed. Hopefully it's going to be a live document. So that'd be good.
And I think that's a great way to phrase it. It's a live document and we want to keep looking at it. I will say, and again, Sue, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think this is a staff-driven document and not us. And they have to be on board with everything. Their experience will drive it, their knowledge will drive it, and we can advocate for things, we can bring up ideas, and that's all terrific. And I want to do that, and I'm sure they'd welcome our input, but they're boots on the ground. And am I right about that? Is that everybody's experience?
Yes, I think though that the board's role is to, that Sue and the staff need to ID the resources they need to move forward with the plan, whether it be money, staff, personnel, director input and involvement. And once they ID, recognize the resources they're going to need, they come to us and say, okay, this is what we need. We need this money. We need you, director, to come and help with this part. We need this. And so, they're going to be able to ID the resources that they need. And I think it's our job to make sure those are provided.
Right. So Jeff, I echo Michelle's, kudos that this is a great working document. Let's get Sue more involved now that we've got something in writing. Get her. I think what we were getting to page 2 is totally staff driven from what I can eyeball, and that's perfect. Let's get their ideas on page 1 and their feedback. And
Yeah, let me just jump in here for a minute. Yeah, the goal 3, library services. You'll see I put a note in there. Sarah Braswell had sent some info to myself and Sue. I didn't want to forward that without her permission, but I summarized it here just as an example of staff input. And I know with the web page design and other activities, the staff is very, very well, they're just doing a terrific job with that and so on. So yes, you're right. That is more staff driven actually, because it is the actual library services.
Well, I think it'd be really appropriate to forward Sarah Braswell's outline. Anybody else who has input and outline and staff standpoint, especially to forward some of their input if it's relevant to what we want to do. And
I'll check with.
We also did mention a G1 survey. What's that?
Michelle, I don't think Jeff is through yet. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I'll check with Sarah, see if that can be forwarded, so you'll have the complete for a complete thought.
It was fun, but
Shouldn't we channel that through Sue?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we channel staff
Yeah,
thoughts and everything through Sue?
I do have a copy of that and I can
Yeah.
forward it to the board.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that this is going to go into the hands of you, Sue. And if you need any clarification or any of us to throw ideas off of, we're here for you. Because to comment on our thoughts, because this is a draft, and you're going to work it because it is your 5-year plan. We'll leave it at that, and then you can let us know.
Well, if you guys could send me, you all have said you have comments, so I would appreciate to get them if you can send me the comments.
Okay, perfect.
Is there a specific format that this goes in on? Is it
Yeah.
electronically submitted and everything? So,
Oh, yeah, I assume so. I have to find all that out.
okay.
But 5-year plans or long-term plans tend to have a, goal and sub goals and activities. And, there's a format that way in terms of,
Yeah.
I probably have to upload something, but that's easy enough to do from whatever we end up with.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so at the end, I'm going to ask for dates to in June to reconvene and talk about this. And as you all said, our 5-year plan doesn't have to be perfect. We can get something down, file it, and revisit it. I mean, I imagine, it will change based on surveys we might do in the future on library use and whatever. But we don't have to go for perfection, but we will go for something that we're happy with filing and that pleases us all. So we'll have another meeting in June to try and finalize this, and by July 1st.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Jeff, for all this work. We will revisit it. So next up is the director's report. You all should have received a few days ago Sue's comprehensive, terrific report. I don't know if you want to just highlight some things, Sue, or go through it. I leave it to you.
Okay, so the format is completely changeable, and if you want more detail, more numbers, fewer details, whatever, let me know. The second page is charts, because I like charts. Numbers make my eyes roll back in my head, but I am affected by the pictures. But please keep in mind that the blue line in all of these is 2020, and the library was closed for all of April, part of March, and part of May. So that's why it falls down. So you kind of get an idea of where we are. Circulation has stayed steady, and our wireless users are coming back. E-zone checkouts are what you would expect in a lockdown, more this time. And our library patrons actually in the building has been kind of steadily increasing very slowly as people feel more comfortable. So as I said, if you want different numbers or you want to see the numbers, I'm happy to produce that. The youth programming, Sarah has been doing quite a bit virtually. The online puppet shows have been popular. We had a brownie troupe in here and they had a blast, and it was lovely, I have to say, as a librarian, to hear people in the building. She did a tour and then a scavenger hunt. They earned a badge, which Sarah had designed. We are still using Beanstack, which the state is supplying for online reading. The Wonderbooks are what the Almy Trust things are money is being used for, and they're books that read themselves to you, basically.
Oh, cool.
It's like the old tape. You'd put a tape cassette in and follow along, and there was a beep. Well, it's all built into the book.
Cool.
And they have been popular not only with pre-readers, but also with folks who have disabilities, who aren't readers. And so we've actually have one specific patron who has been using them a lot and loves them to pieces. So it's not just a kid.
Let me just ask you about that. The Almy funds, though, are restricted to only children's books.
Right, and she's only, and the main focus of these books are for children. They are billed as a children's book. I'm just saying that there are side uses of them. But yes, the primary focus of these books is for pre-readers to get them reading.
Awesome.
We have STEAM activity kits, which have been going out quite a bit. We've been doing craft take and makes, and this month is a balloon powered car. We still have some airplane kits from last month. She is working on summer reading, and we are planning it to be something where people can take them and go, not knowing what the COVID situation is going to be this summer. And Sarah does send out emails to that are centered on children's programming, so that and children's resources, so they know what we have. And she's going to start doing more press releases also, which I didn't put on there. The April book club meeting had 15 people, which was great because we actually ended up having to reschedule it. And the writing club is restarting. We had 13 people. Those were rainy days. It was cold and miserable, and they still came and sat out in the pavilion. 23 people attended our poetry night, and there was a move to make it a quarterly event. And so I think Hillary's going to do that. The book list emails that she sends out every week, the themed ones, have been getting a lot of books requested that she recommended in the email. And the newsletters are going out monthly, and we're trying to revamp them so they look a little different than the weekly emails. Hillary and I are planning an adult summer reading program, which hasn't been offered here before, to try to make it so that the whole family can participate in a summer program. And Marge has finished reading the fiction collection. She's going back through it again. I'm about 2/3 of the way through nonfiction. And we're looking at DVDs and reading that, and we're going to reorganize them to try to make them easier for patrons to find. I got 2 more hotspots for free because T-Mobile was offering a special deal. The Friends do pay for the monthly maintenance on those. And those are very popular, especially in the summer. Our phone system has been upgraded, and our alarm system has been upgraded, and that was paid for by a donation. The garden beds have been cleaned out. The front should be cleaned out Wednesday. Window boxes have been replaced, and the garden club is going to come soon to do that. The staff appreciation part of the grant should be coming by the end of May, and the rest of that money is being used for books, and I'm working on that book order. We had a deep cleaning last week. I'm working with Beth to find the name of the company that does the rug cleaning, and we'll have them come and do that. Windows are being washed in June, and Clevis came and did whatever they do to the composting toilet. State requirements are changing by the end of this month, and we're kind of waiting to see what June will look like. Right now, we're at 80% occupancy in the building with 3 feet of space between people, and masks are required. We're still not offering in-person programs inside because that still means that we really can't have very many people come to a program in the front room if we have to have 3-foot bubbles around everybody. By the end of the month, the occupancy is going to rise to 100%, but still with the 3-foot bubble around each person. So it's still going to limit. Outdoors, I think the mask requirement is going to go away at the end of the month, but unless it's a crowded space. But we are planning kind of pop-up summer programs depending on what the governor says about COVID requirements. We're good for another year for the OSL consortium member agreement. And then I talk a little bit about the American Rescue Plan, and there's a link in there that can give you updates from OLIS, and they are developing things. We're going to get more information at the end of the month. I think every library is going to get some money for technology, but we have to use it within very specific parameters, and we have to use it quickly, which is why we're trying to figure out what we need to do. But that money will come next fiscal year after July 1st, but the application will be due before. And then there's 2 more sets of money. One is for education to support at-home learners and to support workplace development. And then the third piece has just gone out of my head.
Strengthen library services.
Okay, yeah. So they're talking about training and staff. She was a little bit fuzzy about exactly what that's going to entail. They're worrying about the first one first. They have a fair amount of money that they have to spend by September 2022. So,
Well,
that's
wow.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, great job.
Does anybody have any questions for Sue?
That's terrific. And it really helps me realize that, the cleaning, all these things are ongoing and they don't have to be in the plan because they're already just being done. It's a matter of routine. And it's just great to learn so much more about what's going on and to see the work that you've put in, Sue. It's terrific. I love information. And
We're very fortunate that the Brownell Trust pays so much for the building maintenance and stuff. So we're very fortunate for that. And they provide a lot of service for us.
Well, I would just like to say wow again, and kudos to Marjorie, you, Sarah, and Hillary. I cannot believe the numbers of people that showed up for poetry night, the book club, the writing club. I mean, it's really cold out there, and
Yeah.
show up.
We're getting 40 or 50 people a day in the building, depending on the day. And
it's impressive.
So-
And the other impressive thing is Marjorie weeding out the fiction collection and being done. I mean, I thought that was on our to-do list for years.
But you know what?
Yeah,
I've been trying. It's been our to list. Since I joined the board, I really tried to push it, and to see it getting done is just
Yeah, she had started it before I came, but she did a 10-year wait, and we're looking at 9-year and bad condition, books in bad condition. But
That's
And one
terrific.
thing you forgot to mention, or maybe it's so new, is your rotating art. I stopped in the other day and saw a beautiful painting by Claire Bowen in the lobby, and that's a great idea too, to have art coming through, local artists, featured. So it's
yeah, that's Hillary. He has a lot of contacts in the art community in Little Compton. So
And I love the theme book emails.
Oh yeah.
I have them all saved.
Okay.
yeah, I've been talking to Hillary about printing them out on bookmarks so that it's not a one and done use, that we can put them on bookmarks so people who don't get it or who come for the summer can see a book list on a little piece of paper that they can take home. So.
Love
Great
that idea, because I would be the first to take one if I got one first.
Okay.
Terrific. Anything else on the director's report?
No, I think this is terrific, and I appreciate all the work you did, and I appreciate getting the charts.
Oh yeah.
It's just really great. I don't have any comments about how it should be different. I think it's just whatever format you give us, and you might think something else is relevant next meeting. Whatever you think is relevant for us is terrific.
Okay.
I know Michelle loves the weeding out of books.
I'm so excited.
All right, I'm going to move us along. I don't know if we lost Shirley or not. If we did, I'm going to volunteer her for something because she's not here. So
Perfect.
yes.
I think she had to sign off.
Oh, well, I'm still going to volunteer her for something, which she actually said she would do. On the agenda, new employee probation assessment procedure. In Sue's contract, as dictated by our personnel policy, there's a 90-day probation, work day probation period, which is up, what did we say, July 13th or something.
Yeah.
I would just like to task Lucy and Shirley with working with Sue before that date to see what we can do better, what she can do better, and move forward with that. Long range planning being working toward job performance evaluation, after a year or something. So just doing something a little more formal, making kind of a formal decision before that 90-day probation period ends, that, how can we all do better?
Well, I think we're required to specifically do an assessment of Sue's the work she's been doing in 90 days, and and how we would assess that, and that would be kind of the goal.
Right. And that's what's on here. Exactly.
Right. So it's yeah. So we need to hear from, say, people who are tasked with this job to say, yes, we are going to, do everything we can to keep Sue, or no, she's unhappy here, or something. We need somebody to do that job. I would like to task Lucy and Shirley with that job and report back to us, and we'll make a decision. Does that sound like something we can move forward with?
I've already said yes to Nancy, so she made me do it.
Michelle and Jeff, does that make sense to you?
I think it's a great idea. It's terrific.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Shirley will find out this, and she will work with Lucy and Sue, and we'll go from there. They'll work on some kind of rubric and hopefully a long range plan for a job, assessment further down the road after a year. Okay, then finally, if you have your calendars, we're going to need a June meeting.
Nancy, can I bring
Yes,
up one thing before? I know since you mentioned July 13th is the end of the 90 days, I also know that Sue put in her report regarding her notary seal, and which expires on July 17th. And I know, having recently gone to town hall, they were kind enough to direct me to the library, which I didn't have to go, but in regards to getting something notarized. But I'd like to make a motion to, or at least bring up the point that to help Sue renew her notary position with the $80 and have the library pay the $80 fee.
Yeah, I
I don't want to wait until the 90 days are up, July 13th, where it's like only a couple of days apart. I don't know what lead time she needs. And
Yeah,
with
I
the
have to apply
Right.
again to the
great
Secretary of
point.
State.
That come out of the budget, the library budget.
What's that,
Would
Michelle?
that come out of the library budget, or would it come out of our money?
Library budget.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do that, Sue. I think
Okay.
the wonderful service that the library can provide, and thanks, Jeff. I think that's
Yeah, I think with some of our goals to putting up some new signage and so on, a small sign indicating notary services are available are important just for people coming in, even summer people who, and on a weekend when town hall might be closed and Sue might
Well,
be.
I won't be here on a weekend. I
No,
don't
no,
normally
but-
work on Saturdays, but
No, but if something, if it was a program or something, but anyway, just, summer people coming in and not being familiar with town hall, knowing that you were a notary, might
my
be very,
personal preference is I hate
very
signs.
helpful.
I think
but
that's a great idea,
Yeah, I
Jeff.
hate signs too, but,
An email blast to the membership.
something like that.
yeah, we put it on the Facebook page and we can do that again. And I think
Okay,
it's on
all right.
the web page. And
It's on the webpage, Facebook, and it's probably been in the emails.
And it
Yeah.
sounds like
So-
town hall knows that.
Wilbur's know, town hall, and
yeah, we'll just keep repeating it now and then as folks come.
yeah, that's awesome.
That
Okay.
sounds good. So next is,
So the last item is last item on the agenda is setting a June date. It needs to be far enough in the future to let us, pound out this 5-year plan or 3-year plan, whatever we determine to do. But it has to be done by July 1st. So today's the 11th. I mean, we could,
can I make a suggestion? Sue, when would you like to have it finalized?
Well, I don't know if you can hear me over the bells. The bells go bananas at noon. I'm not a last minute kind of person, so I'd rather meet earlier. And then if we needed to meet again, we could do it one more meeting rather than waiting till June 28th to do that just would stress me out.
No, I agree. That's why I want to ask you, when do you want to receive it? The first part.
Oh, you guys' comments on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, like soon. Yeah, like this week, next week. Yeah, soon. Because if I'm supposed to write something up for the next meeting, yeah, like as soon as possible.
Okay, so why don't we say comments in by this week or not accepted?
That's the spirit, Lucille. I love deadlines. They're the best.
we do Monday. How about by Monday?
What's today?
Today's the
Tuesday.
11th.
Yeah,
So it'd be
Monday.
the 17th.
Yep.
Can we do it by Friday?
Well, you guys could send me your comments by the 17th, and then we could meet. I could pull something together, and I could send it out ahead of time, and we could set up a meeting for the first half of June sometime.
Okay, so we give you comments, you put it together. Do you want to send it back out to us and then we could do a second round of comments if necessary, which it probably won't before the meeting, so we don't have to.
Well, I think we need to keep Jeff in the loop.
And you also cannot do that.
I'm saying everybody.
Yeah, but
you
it's an
can't.
open
That's
meeting
going
for
to
next
become a rolling quorum. You can't do that.
Okay, forget that.
So
But-
you giving her comments by the 17th is fine.
Okay,
Because that's a request that has been made, but you can't keep going back and forth. That's
okay,
avoiding a meeting.
okay, thank you.
But we could meet the 7th or 8th or something
How about
that would give me 2 weeks to put it together. put something together, and then we could meet in person to talk about it. And if any changes need to be made, we'd still have time. And if there weren't any changes, then it would be done.
I think that, again, keep Jeff involved in the loop, maybe Sue, before you send out something, because he's charged.
Yeah, Jeff and I can work together. I can write
Yep.
something up and send it to him, and we can email back and forth.
And I would like to propose that we do meet earlier, maybe the 8th of June, but the board should be, I would hope, let's limit our comments if we have any, because we just got to get this in, and it's not going to be perfect by any chance.
Well, I'd rather have, I'd rather know what you want to do. I mean, you guys, to me, the board is looking at the long-term big picture view. And so if like bookmobiles and kiosks are where you're going, then that's a shift in focus for me. So I need to know this.
Okay.
So, I'd rather get too many comments and not enough. And then I could always just say, for the first 5-year plan, we could do this, but these things are outside the scope. And maybe we could keep them, I could sort it like that based on the fact that we have 2 full-time and 2 part-time staff and 2 volunteers. I'd say this is just not something we can do with the current funding. And
I just meant that at our next meeting, we should try to,
Oh yeah. You should send me all the things beforehand. So the next meeting, maybe we can just talk about what Jeff and I have come up with in the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So
How does that June 8th, a Tuesday, look for you guys?
Fabulous.
Very good. Yep, good.
I have a 10 o'clock food bank meeting.
Okay. Is that a Zoom or is it a in-person?
Good question. I don't know.
In general, how are Mondays for people?
I mean, I can do earlier. I can do 9 o'clock, or I could do 11 o'clock.
Well,
Yeah, I meant 11. 11 is my usual time.
Okay, I don't think the food bank meeting is going to last that long.
Okay. Tuesday, the 8th at 11.
Tuesday, the 8th at 11.
Perfect.
One more. I don't think we'll have time to get a recommendation from Lucy and Shirley on the 90-day probation. So can we schedule something maybe June 29th, a Tuesday?
How about I talk to Shirley, and that gives Shirley and I, what day is it today? The 11th.
The 11th.
11.
That gives us
It's 3 weeks.
That gives us 3 weeks. I mean, my
Or, yeah.
It gives you 4 weeks, actually.
I'm talking
4
June
weeks.
29th. I'm talking way out there.
No, but by the 8th.
I'm saying that I think Shirley and I could, and I'll talk to Shirley, can put something together by June 8th.
Oh. Well,
That
that
might
would,
It's a
make
month.
meeting too long. Maybe should we break it out? I don't know.
Well, what I would understand it to be is,
all I want from Shirley and Lucy is a recommendation of yay or nay.
exactly.
But that's a whole nother month. If we do, that's a whole nother month to evaluation of Sue's performance June. So it'd probably be more appropriate to do it at the end of June.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming up with a plan for how they're going to evaluate me, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, personally,
Plan,
I'd
or
like
is
to know earlier rather than later what basis I'm going to be evaluated.
Oh, no, I don't. So that's not fair of us to come up with a plan at this point to evaluate you for the 90 days. No, I'm talking about an evaluation plan that be used
Oh, for next year.
not from July 13th to your one.
Okay,
at your
all right.
Yeah, it's a 2-step process. One is.
I just want them to informally meet with you and talk about how it's going. And
Okay.
how have we been? How is it for you?
Okay.
Something a lot less formal than your 1 year.
And if the board members have any
Sorry.
feedback regarding your performance or whatever, we can just send Lucy and Shirley our comments.
Well, Shirley, as far as I understand, Shirley and I and Sue are going to sit down together and go through what Sue is thinking and feeling, how things are going, what's been going on. Does she want to stay or does she want to run? I think that's my feeling. And then we come back to the board and say she passed, which I know you will, but you passed. And then the second leg of that is coming up with an assessment procedure form.
And Sue would be in on that, but that's
Exactly.
not the basis for our judgment for the 90 days
No,
because
but if we have if anyone, any board member has a strong comment for Shirley and Lucy prior to, this probation assessment, we just send it to you.
Carol's shaking her head.
No.
You cannot communicate that way.
Yeah,
That's avoiding an open meeting.
that's three.
You can't do that.
No, I
Right.
mean, if I send a comment to Lucy,
No, because I'm already involved with Shirley and that's
Okay,
two people.
okay.
It becomes a quorum,
Exactly.
so that you can't do that.
Right. So Shirley and I are going to sit down with Sue. We'll get a yay or a nay. We'll come back to the board and say yay or nay. And that's all that's needed as far as I understand. And then the assessment procedure term or post the 90 days will be input from the three of us
Okay,
with goals and, your input on what you see, where you're going, what you want to do,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah.
sounds great.
okay.
Okay. Great. Okay, so Michelle's point was to do that later in the month of June. Is everybody okay with another meeting, the 29th of June, say?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a misunderstanding here. When we meet on June 8th,
Yeah.
can we have already met Shirley and I and Sue and come up with a yay or nay on June 8th?
But you're leaving out a whole 30% of her probationary period.
Yeah, my period doesn't end till mid-July.
Right. Okay, point taken. That's
But
fine.
you could come up maybe with the way you're going to assess me long-term, but.
No, we're not.
Yeah, do that later.
Okay, so can everybody mark down June 29th,
Yep.
Yep.
subject to change, because I would like Shirley there, and I don't know that she can be, but
11, is that right?
11.
Okay.
Okay, then I think we're good. Anybody have anything else, or else I'd like to adjourn?
Nope.
Okay. Great, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, Lucy,
Yes.
Nancy, yes, Michelle,
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I'll just note that Shirley left the meeting, so we have a unanimous
Unanimous.
here.
Okay, so it's ending at 12:12. Carol, do I have to say when Shirley left the meeting because I have an approximate time?
You do. I can find it for you specifically if you need it.
Okay, because I have around 11:55.
Okay.